Alright, do your thing, do
Okay.
your thing.
Welcome back to Digi Bros, everybody.
What's up?
Continuing questions from Ska15 Let. What are some things you two are nostalgic for? What are you nostalgic for,
I
man?
don't know.
Nothing makes you nostalgic when you see it?
Uh,
Old Pokemon?
Not really, because I don't feel like I've ever, like, left that.
That's how I felt, like, for a long time, but if I watch, like, Season 1 Pokemon, I get pretty fucking nostalgic.
Yeah, I guess, like, Season 1.
Like,
shit.
any episodes I haven't seen in the last 10 years, you know, and then, like, if you... I guarantee if you watch, like, Island of the Tentacool or whatever, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, this happened, you know? Beast Wars would probably still make me pretty nostalgic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of Cartoon Network cartoons, if I saw them today, would
Yeah.
probably make them me nostalgic. I haven't seen them in a long time, so I don't have that experience, you know. But, like, if we watched fucking Dexter's Lab, and less so Ed, Edd and Eddy because I've seen the episodes so many fucking times, but I'm
Yeah.
sure there's some of them that would make me nostalgic if I saw them.
No.
Or Powerpuff Girls or something.
Powder Puff.
Any
Old
video
cartoons.
games that make me
this
nostalgic.
probably work. Oh my god, playing Bomberman 64. It's pretty nostalgic.
Yeah, old Bomberman. Any old, I really want to play a game called Iggy's Wrecking Ball
Yeah.
that I played, like, we rented maybe twice when we were, like, 10. And I really liked it and forever wanted to play it again, but could never find it again. And, like, I've always wanted to play Iggy's Wrecking Ball.
They teach me the
It's
fucking-
probably terrible.
Okay, I learned the command melody and I already forgot, even though I learned it 5 seconds ago.
You know what game would definitely fill me with, like, insane nostalgia if we played it today? Like, if we were to play it right now, it would. I would be, like, mind blown. You have to use the leaf to get over there, and then stand on the other switch while she's standing on that one.
No, I have to
don't you?
control her to stand on the other switch.
Oh, why?
Which,
Isn't she?
that's the mechanic of the dungeon. I have to
I just thought.
carry myself to a switch and then control her to get on the other switch.
Okay.
The leaf
But
does it. I
she
just
was already on
You
the
just saw
other
me
switch.
try the.
I don't know. I'm confused.
How is this confusing?
Whatever. Just whatever.
I just
Do you
didn't
know
know
what
I knew the
game
song already.
would make me crazy fucking nostalgic if we were to play it today?
What?
Cell Damage.
True. Yeah.
Do you even remember Cell Damage?
Yes, I remember Soul Damage.
Cell Damage is a derby kart, like, racing / fighting game for the GameCube that was, like, really early GameCube. I think it was probably on multiple consoles, but, like, it was really early
Yeah.
GameCube, and we would play it a lot because it was a multiplayer game that we had in those early days of
Billy
the GameCube.
Hatcher and the giant egg.
That would not make me nostalgic. We played that for fucking GameCube chats, but we threw it away.
Yes.
Or we lost it, rather. But, like, it was chaos. It was the worst fucking
We were
game.
playing like multiplayer.
Yeah, it was the worst multiplayer I've ever seen in a fucking game. It was miserable. So yeah, Cell Damage would make me super fucking nostalgic. Every time I see, like, because when I make my, like, every game I've played chart and I see that one, I'm always like, holy fuck, Cell Damage, Jesus.
Princess Rue 2.
It's like a game I haven't even seen a hint of in 10 years. you
Yeah.
know? Haven't even, like, seen the cover art. But I can, like, vaguely remember what some of the levels were like.
Massive nostalgia.
Alright, I'm gonna get that fucking pen. Because I need to
Connor needs a pen. I hope
Oi.
you're ready for Connor to get a pen.
I'm just gonna sit here and cross shit out for a minute so you can talk.
Very clean.
That your political statement, Victor?
Yes.
Is that your full opinion? It's gonna take me a minute. We've answered more questions than I realized.
What's going on?
It's so stupid.
am a lie.
When I was
The universe is
a young
nothing.
boy. Okay, thoughts.
Um,
I haven't answered that.
This is a neat dungeon.
Favorite and least favorite kinds of cheat. Yeah, talk about the dungeon.
It's a little weird
Analyze
that
it.
they did this controlling people mechanic for 2 straight dungeons. But it's alright.
Do they do it exactly the same in both?
It's not exactly the same, but you have to still take control of them and they fly.
Among
I
your
mean,
clothes.
she at least has her reflecty shield, and that's interesting.
The way I
thing.
wrote among your clothing cachet looks like it says Anamanaguchi cachet, and it keeps confusing me.
Okay.
Keep talking.
So there's 2 doors. I gotta get in one of the doors. I need a key for that door.
Okay, that must have been the
Where do I
last
get the
Davu
key?
thing I answered.
I think I got an idea. I gotta
Oh,
put
here's
it
a reverse
down.
spectrum question you can answer while I'm writing this stuff. What is smegma? Or he actually wrote, what are smegma?
What are smegma? Smegma is like, I mean, it's like Famunda cheese, kind of, right?
Yeah, it's
Famunda cheese
like,
from under my nuts.
it's like when cum dries around your dick because you
it's
didn't
some nasty
clean yourself.
fucking shit, man.
Yes, it's your gross dick cheese.
It's dick cheese. It's essentially dick cheese.
That's why it's funny. There's a whole episode of Gintama about smegma.
Oh god.
And like basically it's like there's like a conversation about how like if you don't wash your hands then you end up with smegma on your hands, but then like when you turn on the faucet, then the smegma gets on the faucet, and so the next person gets their hands on it. And so like they're explaining how like this is gonna make the smegma germs like destroy the world, and then it turns into an elaborate parody of Nazca of the Valley of the Wind.
What the fuck?
Where the smegma turns into like monsters and the world gets like like destroyed by smegma. It's crazy.
Gintama.
It's one of the best fucking episodes.
You thought you were ready for Gintama?
Alright. Crossing out more questions. Do.
Oh shit! Oh, this place has zombies.
Boom, boom,
Oh, it's
boom.
Scully, guys. Never mind.
Blah, blah, blah. Shit on my cock and balls. What are some things that you're nostalgic for? We just answered. Who would you like to collab with? We answered. Alright. Here's an in-depth topic that I wanted to get into.
Yeah. Are we gonna talk about cheese again?
No. How did we talk so much about cheese compared to like some of this other shit?
Compared to nostalgia.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just been over that before or something.
How did your taste in music evolve? Do you have an answer to that? Do you want to answer that?
Because you evolved
I had a feeling that
taste in
would be
music.
what you would say. Okay.
I just got into more complex shit.
Our
as I
taste in
older.
music, I think everyone's taste begins, with what they listened to when they were a kid. Usually whatever their parents like, My parents have both always been into rock music in general. But, growing up, they listened to a lot of the radio. They were never, super picky. We grew up on a lot of, rock radio,
Butt rock,
alternative rock radio, and shit like that.
No! No! Oh, no!
But I'd say
No!
the band that my mom was into for the most of our lives was System of a Down.
Yeah.
Because I know Dad was really into Sublime and we listened to them a lot when we were really young.
Shigga-da-boom, 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 shigga-da-boom. That's not Sublime.
Nope, that is not Sublime at all. That is Sugar Ray.
It's whatever.
All around the world, statues crumble for me. Who knows how long I've loved
Sublime
you.
is loving
What I got.
So remember that.
Any fucking way.
Shigga-da-boom, 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 shigga-da-boom.
We grew
I
up.
ditched her,
We
now
grew
she's
up on
dead.
general rock music. My mom had been a lot of the stuff that my mom was heavily into
Run.
when we were kids. We didn't really get into, but System of a Down was the band that she got super fucking into and listened to constantly at all times.
Should have done the other dungeon first. That's
So-
more of a. This was more of a.
So we
second
grew up
loss.
on a lot of System of a Down, which is very heavy rock sound. And the first band I ever got into of my own accord was Linkin Park, because I was 10 when Hybrid Theory came out, and it was that exact perfect mixture
That is
of
10-year-old music, man. That is some edgelord shit.
well, not because it was edgy, because I didn't really know what the lyrics meant at the time. When I was 14 and I was listening to Linkin Park, that was because I related to the lyrics. That was when I was the age where it was this is about me. And then 5 years later, I realized that was about everyone.
Hashtag my life.
But when I first got into it, it was just because it was the just right mixture of heavy and rockin' and cool, but also totally accessible and not heavy at all. Because you would, as a kid, I heard
Fuck.
One Step Closer with that ding 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 ding.
I can't kill them.
And it was like, oh man, this is so fucking
there
rad.
you go.
But you know,
Did I stun it?
but now to me it's like pop music. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that was the first band I ever like really got into of my own volition
Oh, wait.
and not out of anyone outside influence. Do you not have light arrows?
Hold on.
I don't think you can kill these things, dude. I don't think you can kill them without. I don't
Fuck.
think you can kill them without shining light on them.
I can stun them though, it seems. Oh, I think I
Just-
have to.
gotta be that would do
oh.
it. Fire arrows.
How do I switch
Fire.
my arrows?
Fire arrows. You had ice on.
Oh, I
them.
don't
There
have
you
any
go.
magic left.
Oh.
Motherfucker.
Kill the green one. It's probably got magic.
No, it's just got green jelly.
I got some green jelly for ya.
I need more magic. How do I
Yeah,
get
you fucked up.
magic?
Anyway, so we grew up on rock music, basically, and there was a point where the Mars Volta came out, and they had, well, I mean, they had already had an album out, but like when Francis the Mute came out, they had The Widow as a single, and my mom was like really into The Widow because they had like this trippy ass music video, and it was this really addicting song, and so she
Yeah.
bought Francis the Mute. And that was like my first exposure to like experimental and weird music. And I got really into that. And we were into Gorillaz at the time because they were really popular. You know, they just put out Demon Days. And just like into basic rock shit that my mom listened to. You know, we were into Slipknot because our cousin Boyd liked them. Can you think of any bands you liked as a kid that aren't
It's the
these?
same shit, man, you know?
There's nothing that you liked that I
No.
didn't care for. What about POD,
Some 41
man?
and Green Day were like my favorite bands.
Was it POD? What you or Shade
That
was
was
into
Shade.
POD? Yeah.
I was in the Sum 41 and Green Day.
Yeah, Green Day was a big part of our whole lives because of the fact that they babysat us as kids, and we always said it. Sort of
And,
knew
you know, our
that.
parents were into them.
Yeah, and our parents liked them, but yeah, that's the kind of music we grew up on. And then like with the Mars Volta was where things started to change. And then when we lived in the ghetto and I didn't have money for games, I know I've told this part of the story before, but like. Because we talked about it with the Coheed and Cambria thing, like why I was into Coheed and Cambria, because like I got into music because of all this music that our cousin Boyd had put on my computer, and Boyd was like, he was into like heavy metal and like doom metal and anything that stoners listen to, like because he was a hardcore druggie and stoner, and like
Yeah. You
and-
listen to Drone and
yeah, he listened to like lots of like what's the genre I'm thinking of? Psychedelic rock and like metal and shit, and just all the kind of shit that stoner dudes would listen to and druggies would listen to, and he had put a bunch of that kind of stuff on my computer, and I got really into Tool and the Mars Volta, and that was when it was like, all right, now I'm starting to get into experimental music and shit, you know, discovered some metal bands that he had put on there over time, and then like when I started buying CDs, it was really kind of all over the place, because like I think the first two CDs I got were that Coheed and Cambria's In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3 and Franz Ferdinand's self-titled album, you know, which are like very
really
different
into that
sounds, but they're both, you know, sort of rock music in general. And I bought a lot of CDs like that, where I would listen to a few songs on YouTube and then I'd buy an album if I liked them. And there was a lot of stuff that I didn't get that into, and a lot of stuff that I got really into. I remember getting into Typo Negative around that time because one of Mom's friends had given
Also,
her a
when I got
mixed
into
CD.
Dragon Force.
Yeah, we got into Dragon Force. It was mostly metal and heavy rock bands because that's kind of what we grew up with, you know, and we're influenced by. Like, while I did like we were big into Rush around that time.
Oh yeah.
So basically like prog and heavy rock, and then I sort of had a period where I got into post rock and post metal because
I forgot about listening to 2112 a billion fucking times.
yeah, we were really into like 2112 and Hemispheres, and were like the jam. But Boyd had like there was a point where I met up with him one time. I hadn't seen him in like years because he had moved away to Pennsylvania, and he was in town one time, and he was just like telling me about some bands he was into, and he was listening to like Isis and Pelican, which are like post metal bands, and you know, because he was listening to like all kinds of weird shit that I'd never heard of, he had a fucking Sun t-shirt on at the time, and I was like, what the hell is Sun? He's like, it's drone music, you probably wouldn't like it, you know? I was like, probably not. He was listening to like Boris, and I remember very distinctly the first time I ever listened to Boris, I looked up a video on YouTube, and it was like a live performance, and it was like a minute of one note, and then all of a sudden they started like just busting it like for like 30 seconds, and then it went right back to one note, and I was like, yep, I have no idea what this is, you know. But I got really into ISIS, and I started looking into post-rock music and post-metal music and stuff like Red Sparrows, which is from the same people who did ISIS. By the way, ISIS the band, not the terrorist organization. Very unfortunate coincidence, because ISIS the band has had to deal with all kinds of shit now because of ISIS. Yeah, their Facebook page had like a ton of comments like, I can't believe you guys, you fucking ass. And they were like,
they've been around so much longer than ISIS.
You were not the we are not the Facebook page of a terrorist group, you fucking idiots. But yeah, they've been around for a lot longer than the terrorist organization.
I wonder if there's dipshits who don't know that like that name has been around.
Yeah, that the word ISIS is like an Egyptian god.
Yeah.
It used to be when I tried to search for ISIS's music, because this is, you know, the early days of music on the internet, and obscure bands were harder to find. What I'd always get is fucking ISIS the character in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Huh.
There's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Character named ISIS.
Of course.
So that's what all the searches would turn out. Before Wikipedia was really like much of a thing. And so then from there, like, I was into all this prog and post-rock and shit. But it was very like general. I would usually get into bands like by way of just listening to a whole bunch of different shit and then picking out whatever I liked. So like I would look at like the Wikipedia entry for post-rock and then like try out every band on the page and see what was good. Or I'd hang out in forums and people would recommend stuff. You know, I found out about Inciferum because there was this dude on this forum I went to for a long time called Otaku Boards. It was a guy called Jake Cameron, and he was extremely opinionated jackass who was really into metal and would get super mad if you...
That was James Cameron.
Jake Cameron.
James Cameron.
He would get...
was a pretentious metal man who would torture you as a child.
He would get so fucking specific about his genre labels and get so pissy if you got them wrong. But he taught me a lot about metal, and he was really into Inciferum and like Agaloch. He got me into Agaloch. He got me into Opeth. So like a lot of big bands I owe to essentially to Jay Cameron.
James Cameron.
But he also made he himself made music under the name Gallow Braid. If any of you have ever heard the 2 songs ever made by Gallow Braid, which is really solid shit. He sounds exactly like Agaloch, but he like nailed it. Like he made really good Agaloch sounding music. And like I see it come up every once in a blue moon in like a metal share thread on
if anyone's interested in
people will bring up Gallow Braid.
You know, James Cameron's music sounds like.
Stop. So
band.
So like, you know, when me and Boyd were hanging out again, we were listening to tons and tons of metal, and I was really into like weird avant-garde metal because Boyd, when we got back into contact with him in like 2008, he had brought what Boyd would do is download tons of music and then burn it to CDs. So and he would buy like little plastic cases for them, and his truck that he drove was just full of burned CDs, like fucking dozens of burned CDs that he would stuff into the back of his chairs. And so like I would like burn all the CDs he had onto my computer and like listen to, you know, whatever I liked out of that. Got into like King Crimson through that and Psy and shit like that. And then like through Psy I was like, I want to get into avant-garde metal. So I would like, there's a website called Encyclopedia Metalum, which I of course learned about through Jay Cameron, which like
I love the pogos in this game so much.
Which has like extensive labeling of like genres for bands. And you can search by genre. So I would just like search avant-garde metal and listen to everything on the page, you know, and listen to all that kind of shit. And then there was another dude on that forum who was really big into like screamo and post-hardcore music. And like I completely was averse to that at first, but then like he would show me like Circle Takes the Square, and it's like even though it took me a while to get into those vocals, like the music was so good that it's like how could I not like this, you know? and Sound of Animals Fighting. He got me into Portugal the Man back when they only had experimental sounding stuff and not all the like folky shit that they came out with later.
Yeah.
I can't remember that guy's name.
What?
Dad just like yelled "World Star" downstairs.
What did he yell?
I don't know, but
Sound like Freebird. Freebird.
they're watching something for sure.